Okay, let's continue. I tried to calm my memories of ever seeing this room, coming up with nothing as a result. This room was new to me. Did I want to disturb the furniture? I'm curious. I gently opened the shelves and any drawers I saw in the room, and a couple of them were books and even sewing kits. I assumed they were used for my grandfather's toys, so I left them alone. One drawer, however, was locked, no matter how many times I pulled. Grr, come on! Open! Nothing. It wouldn't budge. The drawer beside it, though, did, revealing a laptop. Why is there a laptop in a drawer? I lifted it from the drawer and carried it over to the desk and chair, opening it. It was a high-tech laptop with a retina scanner as a padlock. I wasn't sure whether or not to try to unlock it or not. I decided to try. I turned on the computer and leaned my face near the retina scanner, lining the camera up with my eye. To my surprise, I heard a ping come from the computer before the screen opened to a desktop. Huh, look at that. On the desktop were documents and folders labelled with different aspects of the Anderson company. Taxes, profits, bylaws, products. The list went on and on. If I did want to become the CEO of the Anderson's Toys Company, I had everything at my fingertips. Dad would be very impressed. One icon, however, stood out from the rest. Virgo. I double-clicked the icon, but no window came up. Instead, I heard a large click come from the drawer that was locked. What the? I slowly left my seat and walked over to the drawer, attempting to open it again. It slid open smoothly in the direction of my pulling hand, revealing two books. One was a plain black journal with a tie to keep it closed. The other was bound in leather with cryptic symbols all over the cover. I took out the journal and skimmed through it, seeing my grandfather's notes. They were all detailed explanations and opinions on his findings on demon magic. He really did know about magic. I sat down at the desk and read through the journal, further finding drawings and sketches of symbols and magical circles, each with their own different meanings and effects. It was all fascinating. There was even a page of important spells to know. I read through them, trying to memorize them into my mind. I didn't know what came over me, but I started feeling more energized and more powerful, simply reading my grandfather's notes. It was simply all of the energy that surrounded my body and the power that was around the house. The more I read, the more powerful I became. However, my mind suddenly froze and I found myself walking back to the drawer, putting the book back and closing the drawer. The lock reset and I snapped out of it. Oh, what? I shook my head and looked at the drawer, realizing what I'd done. I walked over the desk to reopen the lock, but suddenly felt the need to stop. Something held me back and didn't want me to pry any more that I already had. I was curious beyond belief, but I obeyed my thoughts. For now, eventually I would come back and look into it. I returned to the bed, feeling the weight of the morning pull me under the covers. To try and sleep again. If that makes absolute perfect sense, it really does. Oh, come on, eyes, back to sleep. I shut my eyes and tried to slow my breathing. I looked at my phone to check the time once again. It was noon, yet it felt like I'd slept for much longer. Why is time going so slow? I sighed, got changed into normal clothes and went out to the main hall. Sat on the stairs. Sundays were very boring. However, the muffled sound of battle caught my attention. Huh? I quickly went to the backyard in response to the noise I'd heard. In the yard were all five of the boys practicing fighting. Sam was in the middle, the other four surrounding him and throwing punches and kicks at him. Sam, being the strongest of the bunch, blocked and dodged each almost masterfully. Don't disturb them. I just watched the boys. Were very much in their own world, focusing on training they were all in. It was better not to disturb them. I checked the time and decided to head inside to the kitchen. I was getting hungry and I'm sure the boys would need to eat soon. So, lunch was a must. I might as well make lunch today. It's been a while since I cooked. Lunch wasn't particularly hard. I decided to make coconut sandwiches, because why not? I assembled simple ham sandwiches for all of us. After I poured some potato chips on the side of each sandwich, I felt satisfied. This lunch had to be cooked. I placed the food in the dining room. However, none of the boys were there by the time I brought the final dish out. I carried that dish to the main lobby, cashing the boys separate into different rooms of the house. Part of me wanted to go to one in particular. The other part of me wanted to just leave them be and take the food in my hand to my room and eat. Maybe I'd go out today while the boys focused on training. I quickly rushed back and grabbed a second food dish before running down find one of the boys. I returned to the backyard hoping to find an incubus. Still there, lucky my gut feeling was right. Erik was beside the gazebo, looking at a small firewood that was growing on the railing of it. As I approached, Erik turned his head and smiled his usual smile.
Hello, Princess.
Hey, Erik, I got some lunch for you.
Really? You did not have to do that, Princess.
No, it's fine. Here. Erik smiled and took his food, eating a little bit before looking to the flower again. Out of curiosity, I looked as well. It was a simple white daisy in full bloom. Erik shook his head and chuckled softly as I joined him in flower gazing.
Sorry, I was simply reminded of home.
Huh? Oh, you're fine. What about home were you reminded of? Erik looked to the sky with a soft sigh and smiled before looking to the flower again.
The castle, mainly. Despite us not being there anymore, it was still our home. We grew up there our entire lives as brothers. There wasn't a day that went by when we weren't all doing something exciting. It was an empty excitement, of course, but it was still something that bonded us all together.
Erik slightly trailed off, looking lost in nostalgia of his thoughts. I didn't know if I wanted to bother him while he remembered something so obviously important to him. Please tell me more. Erik turned again to me with a slight surprised look.
You wish to know more?
Why not? I'm curious about the place you lived in. Erik nodded before looking to the flower again. After a second, he gained a look of realization before looking to me again.
Would you like me to show you something instead?
I tilted my head in confusion, but nodded nonetheless. What I was expecting could not have been prepared for what I saw. Erik gently brushed his fingers against the petal of the daisy, making it gently quake at his touch. As the daisy abnormally shivered, its petals shifted from white to purple. The yellow centre gently faded to pink hues as the stem began to burn black. I could only stare as Erik plucked the flower from its place and presented it to me.
Watch closely.
I kept my eyes to the flower as Erik began to mutter something. It sounded close to Latin, but I wasn't sure. Regardless, the flower began to glow in Erik's hand. Small crystal-like spores floated up from the pink center and began to form a circle in the air. As the circle closed, the center filled with smoke, forming a screen of some sort. It was misty, so I couldn't see anything. What is this?
Just watch.
I raised an eyebrow, but I followed his instructions. Eventually the mist faded, revealing a large throne room. It was all of stone and tile, with the throne itself covered in red fabric and gold metal. Despite it being a mirror image in a magic mirror, I felt small looking at the side of the throne room. Whoa, that looks amazing.
That's our castle. It's a wonderful place. Servants and parties galore.
Does your father sit on the throne when he's at the parties?
Very much so. He despises dancing and socializing, so he makes the throne his home.
Do you think he's still there now? I must have struck a small chord with Erik because he hesitated before responding. Erik smiled only slightly.
We don't know. When we left, we didn't look back. However, we are sure he's still there, since no one followed us out of the abyssal plains.
Fair enough, and you wouldn't want him following you anyway. I didn't like the fellow. I bit my lip. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. I felt really bad. However, I didn't feel it for long. The magic suddenly stopped and faded away while Erik dropped the daisy. As the daisy turned to black to its white and yellow colour, Erik dropped to a knee, groaning in pain. Erik, are you alright?
Yes, Princess. I'm fine. I just used too much energy, that's all.
I dropped to a knee to try and examine Erik closer. His face was pale while his purplish eyes shifted back and forth between purple and gold. His breath was heavy, which concerned me. He used too much energy. That meant he needed more.
Please don't worry, Princess. I'm fine. Don't worry your beautiful head about it.
No, I'm going to worry about you anyway, so yeah. Kiss him. I felt responsible. I had to help. I quickly grabbed Erik's face and tilted his head to angle with mine, shifting myself closer. I brought my lips to his and kissed him deeply. I didn't know if this would help, but it was how he got energy before. I shut my eyes, waiting for the draining feeling to reappear in my body. However, Erik grabbed my shoulder and forced me back. I opened my eyes and stared into his frightened golden eyes in surprise. At the same time, I noticed a pink hue run across Erik's face.
Princess? What are you doing?
I don't know why, but I felt both irritated and accomplished at the question, and at the look he was giving me. Where was his flirting? Where was his cocky smirk? From what I remembered, he took advantage of me when we met, yet now he was somehow acting inferior to me. I grabbed his hands and removed them from my shoulder, tangling my fingers with his. I'm trying to help you and give you some of my energy. You used your energy to show me that sight, so I wanted to pay you back for it, unless you don't want me to help.
Well, I've already taken your energy once before.
That was before. I'm going to give you energy now. Just let me. All of a sudden, I felt that familiar feeling of warmth run through my body once again. I felt my body slightly heat up as Erik quickly released my hands and wrapped them around my waist, dropping to both knees in front of me. He stared up at me with desire in his gaze as he pulled my body to his. Erik leaned his forehead to mine, letting the tips of our noses gently caress each other as he spoke.
You spoil me.
Yep, I do. I so do.